I wonder if you have ever felt like you have so much passion and knowledge and the desire to serve other people, and you want to make your business come to life so that you can do that and you can impact the people. But there's something that gets in your way. You're either very busy or you're very unclear, and somehow you never quite get there. If that resonates with you, I want to introduce you to my friend and client, Sonia Burns. Sonia is a sweetheart of a person. She is this soulful health and wellness expert, and she has so much brilliance to share. And she gets frustrated because life gets very lifey, and somehow she just has a hard time bringing it to fruition. Does that sound like something that resonates with you? I am guessing it does, because often my clients come to me with this kind of frustration. So, Sonia, I want to thank you today so that we can celebrate your successes in moving from this stuck, frustrated place to a place where you have so much more clarity and flow. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so glad you're here.
Oh, thank you for having me, Jen. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, I love working with you. So I'm so glad you're here. Before we get too deep into it, you are a holistic health and yoga instructor, practitioner. You just have such a wealth of knowledge and caring. Can you tell us a little bit about who you help in the world? What's your purpose here?
Sure. So I help, stressed out and anxious women with families who you have a full-time job and they have trouble figuring out how to take care of themselves. They know that their health and wellness is the front line of their family and how their family is operating and doing, and but they struggle with how do they do that? Where do they find the time? So I teach them how to do it in a manner that works within their life and their lifestyle and their personalities.
Which is so important, because where you meet people is at this place where they're so stuck. And they're probably blaming themselves, right? Like it's my fault that I'm at this place.
Yes, actually, my client has a lot of guilt. They're very guilt ridden and anxious, and they really just uh, for lack of a better word, just need someone to kind of show them and share with them how can they do it, because a lot of times they've tried a million different things and nothing is quite working, or they'll follow this and this, and they also too are very frustrated with themselves to a certain degree because they have trouble following through with anything. Like they'll work on a health goal for a little while, and then they'll won't follow through with it, and then they'll think that they're a failure because they didn't. And I really just teach them that no, it's not that you're a failure. What you need here is to learn how to do it and how to be consistent and uh, how to continue on with it, because people have a tendency to bite off more than they can chew. We always do that, and it's really important for us to just be patient with ourselves and just to take the small steps and to anchor them into who we are and how we do life and how we navigate through life.
Would you say that when people meet you or find you, that maybe you're the first, maybe you're the first kind voice that they've heard in a long time? That, because I know that the voice inside their head is probably pretty brutal.
Yeah, I yeah, I do think that is true. That kindness, and that is one of the things that I actually teach people also how to do is I teach them how to be a little bit kinder to themselves. And I know this mostly from personal experience of beating myself up over the years, and I know it doesn't work and it doesn't get you anywhere. And if anything, it's one of as a woman, I feel like it could be one of our very worst enemies is the way that we
Right.
talk to ourselves and treat ourselves.
Right. So I know that it's so important to you to bring your business to life because you have figured out strategies that work for you. You have designed a life that you love, that feeds you, and now you want to train other people how to do that. And you also know what's in their way. Like that's what I think you're bringing to the table is you have clarity on the solutions that these women don't quite have yet, right?
Yes, there's a lot of things that they might not understand about themselves and about how to do it. Yeah, so I teach them what's worked for me and what worked when in what works not just for me but for all, for my clients and for my yoga practitioners. that, yes.
That's great. I want to talk today, though, about you have such expertise, you have so much training, but I really want to talk about what has been in your way of actually making the business grow and feel easy for you. So, okay to move into chatting about that?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
I,
What do
I
you think? Go ahead. I want to know, what do you think the biggest stumbling block you were dealing with when we got started was?
I think the biggest stumbling block when we first got started was clarity on, I found myself speaking to my client like, not in their words, but in my words, and I wasn't reaching them. There was a total disconnect there. And once I figured out how, it's like, oh, I have to think about this on a whole new level, in a whole new way. And I got into my client in the way they're talking to themselves and what they're thinking, and I just
Mhm.
got to know them a lot better. So I feel like I built a more intimate relationship with my clients, which actually helps you to serve them better. That was the number
100%.
one thing.
Right. So you were using words that weren't quite resonating with them, that weren't meeting them where they were.
Yeah, I was talking, more of a spiritual language, and that's not necessarily going to reach them. They're not going to hear that or understand that, or it and it wasn't hitting their pain points
Right,
either.
right, 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 right. So when we started working together, you were struggling with clarity on who that person was and what words to use. You were also struggling a little bit with what your program might look like or what to offer them. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I think working, my eyes were open to like a whole new way to help my client that I really just didn't realize was there until I started to work with you and see, that I can create this, and I can bring the different areas that I've lived my expertise, and how is it that how can I create that program, with and weave all of my expertise in it in a way that is going to reach them on a deeper level than I currently have been with just through my yoga classes, which is one way. But I really want to, work with these people to help them change
Mhm.
and get into it. And you taught me that, there's different ways that I can help them. There's different levels in which I can help them, and I recognized how it is that I want to help them, that I like working with groups of women. I like the intimacy. I like to be more intimate with them. And I didn't realize that that was even an option, to be honest.
I love that. So you really figured out this is what I'm interested in, this is what they're interested in. Here's how we can put this together to get everybody what they want.
Yeah, so not only did I learn more about my client, I learned more about myself and how it is that I like to serve people, that I don't have to serve people in a way that doesn't feel right for me.
Right.
I don't have to be an influencer and reach thousands of people. I can, do that
Mhm.
work and reach them on a deeper level with a smaller group of women.
Right, like a micro focus almost.
Yeah, like a micro focus.
Yeah, I love that. So can
Yeah.
we talk a little bit about what you realized about yourself in addition to realizing the words that you were using for your audience and how you wanted to work with people? But I know that you had an epiphany about yourself as an entrepreneur. So tell us where you were with seeing yourself as an entrepreneur and what changed for you in that way.
Well, when we first started, I didn't consider myself an entrepreneur at all. I considered myself a yoga instructor who, has a small following and isn't reaching anyone, and to a person who was able to set goals. Like I realized that, in order to be an entrepreneur, you have to have a vision. You
Mhm.
have to have somewhere that you're going. What my goals were, and Jen, your expertise in helping me get there and narrowing it down for me, like, okay, this is the step, this is the next step, and the next step, and the next step, and the next step, and the way that you lovingly, uh, with such a big heart, Jen, you have such a
Oh,
beautiful heart, and that you just, it was it's helped me to get there, and step by step. So I think it was a vision, number one, being able to having that vision and the goals and the steps to get there. And I didn't know that I could do that. Like I realized that my potential is greater than I thought it was, and you've opened my eyes to possibilities beyond my beyond what I could possibly have visualized without you. So I'm very grateful.
Oh, you did all the really hard work of showing up every week. Like, you were just so incredibly coachable, Sonia. It was so easy to coach you because every week you'd show up with, a big idea and we would be able to whittle it down and you'd be like, oh, yes, clarity, thank you. And then you would go take some, focused action on that. My favorite thing that you said in our last mastermind call was that you really see yourself as an entrepreneur now. It's like you stepped into the embodiment of that or the identity of that. And I know for you, there was so much relief in that. I loved that moment.
Yeah, so much relief and so much pride. Like I feel like I stand in it, and I went from a waddling, wafering yoga instructor to a person who has a plan, who has a vision, who has an idea, who's an entrepreneur, who's taking steps, who's doing hard things to get there.
I love it. Your identity has shifted so much. Let's talk a little bit about the content creation part, because everybody knows that when you are an entrepreneur, it's so vital to not only identify your audience, which you did, and find the right words for them, which you did, but then to consistently create valuable content that connects so it can convert, right?
Right.
Can you talk some about the struggle that you had with consistent, regular content creation? What was keeping you from that?
Not knowing, well, I think a couple things. Number one, I recognize the importance of having an idea and a plan to go forward on your social media, so that it makes sense and reaches the people that you need to reach. And I think before I was just without a plan. What am I going to say today? What am I going to write about? What do I want to share? And that's okay. It's still good to allow yourself that little bit of freedom, but at the same time, it's important to have a structure of some sort where you know, a format where you have the certain things that you talk about, and you talk about them continually. And I think that has helped me also identify and grow my brand too, my brand identity, and who it is I help. It hones it back in to it. So it's like a reminder to me what my message is and what I'm saying and what I'm here for. And it also, I think, has also helped me to understand the importance of having a niche as much as possible. And the more of a niche that you can have, the easier it is to speak to that.
Yes.
So that that's the content creation before was out in outer space. You know what I mean? It was out in outer space, and it didn't make any damn sense. And now
I want everybody who's listening or watching to know that Sonia is a highly creative woman, and her mind she's like a circular thinker. And so for her to say the plan was the key and I worked the plan and the plan worked, that is huge, I think, because so many creative women rage against the plan.
Yeah, and I did rage against the plan. And I tell you what, surrender to it, because it's the way.
I loved the moment when we were on a coaching call. Do you remember when we did your menu method? Like, we just invented a new way of doing content creation planning for you. I called it the menu method. And basically, Sonia has so many ideas, and she was like, I have like 5 different pillars that I talk about in my content. So we just created a menu of her 5 different pillars, and now she can like pluck and choose what works for her. So there's not a one size fits all strategy. And so we definitely created one for you.
Yeah, and the beautiful thing about the menu is it was keeping to a plan, but yet it allowed me the creativity. So it really is the best of both worlds, quite frankly.
Yeah. It wasn't rigid. It wasn't too rigid for you. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So you figured out your niche, you figured out the words that they needed to use, you started to use a plan. What is your favorite tool that helps you get through those emotional times when you are like either falling back into old patterns or you think like, oh, I can't do this, I'm not really an entrepreneur? What do you love? What's a thought or a tool or a strategy that you go back to help you be successful?
I really think it's looking at my plan. Like when
Mm,
I get distracted or whatever, it's like,
mm,
oh, you gotta go, I keep everything in a journal and in a notebook.
right.
So I either go to my business notebook book where everything is organized there, and I'll look and see, okay, yep, this is where I'm at. Because what we do as creative women tend to get distracted. And I think
Yes.
that tool of just coming back to the plan is so helpful to me. And it because there's no it's not empowering when you're wavering and wafting all over the place. But when you come back, what and to be what I do, Jen, is I'll take something, a thing,
Mhm,
and put it on a sticky note. What do I need to do today? One
mhm.
thing off of the plan, throw it up on my computer. And you know what? That's all it takes for me to keep going is just that
Yes.
one thing. If I know I've done that one thing, climbing up the mountain like steadfast and sure,
Mm,
1 foot at a time. And
mhm.
that's what's most important for me is to honor my lifestyle, but
Yes.
continue to take the steps forward in to my goals. And
And you are doing that. You are doing that. Yeah. So I have a question. How did being part of the mastermind, which was a small group coaching program, how did you like it? What worked for you? How did it help you make all these changes?
you know, I I think one of the beautiful things about the mastermind that I like, that was one of my most favorite things about it, was just that when the calls that we would have together, it just seemed like whatever the message was, it was a broader message for everyone.
Right.
And if you spoke to someone else, you were still speaking to me. And that I really felt the group synergy and the group presence and the group momentum. And I think when you work as a group like that,
Mhm.
you lift each other up and you help move each other forward. And I think that's what we need in this world right now as
Yes.
women. We need to help each other, hold each other's hands, carry each other along, move
Mhm.
together, move forward. And there's a lot of love and
Mhm.
support, and in the overarching themes that we all need to hear.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing to me too is that it didn't matter what level you are as an entrepreneur. You could have been a kind of what I would consider myself a beginner, to someone who's been in the business more advanced, and you're still gonna
Learn
get
from each
what
other. Yep.
learn from each other and get what you need. And so there was never any judgment there, and I really appreciated that people were just so everyone in the mastermind was loving and supportive. And I think that's just the type of person that you attract
Oh,
to. I think you
thank
bring
you.
those people in as well. Yeah.
It doesn't surprise me that that's what you're saying about the group mastermind because it's actually what maybe helped you understand like, oh, I want to create my own groups. I want to work with people more than just one on one.
What actually, that's very true. There's a lot of things that you did in your group that I learned from just from witnessing you and what you're doing behind the scenes. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. Oh, Jen does that. Oh. I got lots of like
Ideas.
light bulbs coming off, and yeah, it was great.
I just want to say and honor how proud I am of you because I know where you were spinning around at the beginning and the clarity that you have and the work that you did, and you showed up all the time. And like I said before, you were so coachable. I just want to honor the work that you did and say thank you for doing it.
Oh,
I loved having you as part of the group. It was really, you're just a great addition to the group. What is one piece of advice that you would like to give to a woman who's really resonating with your journey that you wish you had known 6 months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago?
I think the biggest one of the main things is that it's not a marathon.
Mm,
And I mean that it is a marathon, that it's it's not, it's the journey, it's not the destination. I think is if I find pleasure and love in what I'm creating in the moment, then I feel that to me feels invincible. That to me feels limitless. That to me feels good in my heart and in my soul. Uh, and that's what I want people to know. Just do what you love and move forward, and ask Jen to help you make your plan and go for it.
You are really good at using joy and pleasure and satisfaction and purpose as your measuring stick to know whether you have achieved success. Like, you're not somebody who's saying, I need to impact 10,000 women or 10 million women. Like, you're really understanding where your joy comes from that makes you feel successful. And I don't think enough of us are good at that, because a lot of entrepreneurs are like, I won't be happy until I'm making six figures, or until I'm making $70,000 a month, or until I'm impacting millions of people. And that's a really long journey. And if you can't find ways along the way to feel excited, then it's really easy to burn out. And I think you are a wonderful example of somebody who knows how to enjoy the journey, like you just said. So I wish more of us could take that advice. I hope that we can.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you.
Yeah. So how can people who want to be in your energy learn from you, do yoga with you, work with you, be healed by you? How can they connect with you?
They can connect with me through Instagram, Sonia Burns on Instagram, and I have a link tree there, a bunch of links. I'm now offering discovery yoga classes for free discovery yoga class, a 30-minute class for people who want to learn more about what I offer, how I might serve them. And also, I have a free 6-week email series for women who need to be kinder to themselves and want to learn how to meditate. But it's a beginner series, but it's really for people who are a little overwhelmed and scattered and need to learn the bare minimum basics. And that's also on my Instagram. And I will be launching a program next month. So keep an eye out for that. My sales page will also be on my Instagram. So check out my Instagram link tree. Everything will be up there.
Excellent. Thank you, Sonia. I appreciate your time today, but I also appreciate you letting us into the journey, because it can be really vulnerable to share where we were and where we are now. So I really appreciate that you're sharing that with us.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you. It was so nice talking with you.
Nice to talk to you too. Everybody who's listening, I really want to encourage you to go check out Sonia, because she's got this gentle, lovely way about her, and following her on Instagram will brighten your day. I promise you. Even on your darkest day, when you come across a video by her, or a post by her, or a photo that she shares, you just feel more grounded and peaceful. And I don't know anybody who couldn't use that right now. So please go check out Sonia Burns on Instagram. Thank you, Sonia.
And Jen, if I might just spell my name, I just realized.
Yes, please do.
It's SonjaBurns. Thank you very much.
You. Yeah, of course. All right. Sonia, thank you again. And I love chatting with you. And I hope this was a helpful conversation for somebody out there who needs to hear this message.
Thanks, Jen.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.